Welcome to part 3 of this UDK video tutorial. I'm Dave Skaggs, and we are inside the curve editor um, doing a spaceship animation for this helicopter. Actually had it crash between the last video, so this is a fresh new build. Hopefully things are gonna work out better this time. Just reminds you, always save. Speaking of which. And you always, just something to note, you always have to close the Matinee editor in order to save what you're doing. Okay, so we've got this we should have this at a stage. What did it say? They're not giving me errors. Let's see. Okay, cool. We're good. We have this at a stage where we could probably test it. I don't believe we put a trigger down in the last one, but I went ahead and I put a trigger down. You just basically, just to refresh your memory, you right click, add actor, go down to trigger, and then under the trigger nodes, under the trigger plus F4, and that'll bring up properties. You can adjust its collision height, its collision radius there to increase the area which you can step in. I don't know if I scaled it up in the first video. That would have been incorrect. You actually need to go into its properties and change it there. So let's go ahead, just so we don't spawn inside with no way to get out, we're going to right click out here and press play from here. And yes, we are going to close the Matinee editor. Let's see. It's popping me behind. Hitting that box. Not seeing it move. Okay. Let's double check and see what's going on here. Editor. Let's put that box right up against. There we go. Put it right up against that door. And then let's check in Kismet and make sure everything's hooked up okay. So we got our trigger. It's hooked to play. And okay, it says we forgot to set our, in rebuilding it, I forgot to set the ship to interpolating. So I hope you guys are learning from my mistakes. There we go. That should be good. Let's go ahead and play it now. Yes, close Matinee editor. Alright. There we go. Now it's coming. Comes over, has a little dip, really slow. I mean, that's one thing you notice. And then it stops. So it's really slow. Let's go ahead and animate one more frame, and then we'll speed it up, and I'll show you some ways to do that that are really great. Let's get back in our Matinee editor. It's not wanting to cooperate. Okay. Okay, now we've selected our movement track. Now our next keyframe is going to be on about 17.5. And I'm going to move the ship over, clear over to here. Let's see what it looks like in the perspective view. It's a little far. I think I want it to stabilize a little bit. There we go. Okay, we'll go ahead and key that. Notice while it says adjust key, I mean, I've already keyed it, but notice while it says adjust key, key 5, you can move this up and down and it will auto keyframe for you. You can tell this is also going to go a little bit faster because these beads are a lot further apart, kind of like over here, but I think that'll work out fine. And if it's too fast, we can always change it in the curves editor. But that's what I was guessing. I might be a little off. We'll see. Okay. Let's go ahead and close the editor and we'll play it again from here. So it comes in, still doesn't have a rotation like our original one. Gains, and it goes way too fast. Okay, let's fix that. We have some inconsistencies in speed here, so that's the first thing I want to take care of. In order to get it to have more speed, or to have less speed, to go slower, we're going to select something I want to address before we go on any further is now that we have some rotation, we're going to need to see those rotation curves. And you can see the rotation curves by right-clicking on movement track and going down to split translation and rotations. And you get kind of this mumbo jumbo down here that you really don't need. You can just minimize that and click that yellow square again, and it'll bring up the six different curves, including the rotation curves. In order to see the rotation curves, you're actually probably going to have to uncheck the individual boxes for the movement, just because the movements are so drastic. And there you go, you can see these are your rotation curves. But anyway, we need to move all of these curves, so we can slow the animation up in some areas and speed it up in others. So by holding Control and Alt, you can do a marquee around some keyframes, and then Control Shift, and that'll drag it on one axis. You just drag it out to where it feels good. That'll probably be good. Now I want the first part of the animation to be a little faster, so we'll select everything except for the first one. Drag it a little closer, and we definitely want that center part to be faster, so pull that in. It's interesting to note too is like these animation curves, as we're tightening it up, you can see that they're becoming a little more uniform. They're becoming a little nicer, not so jagged. The curves are smoothing up. That's one thing I've found with animation, is that the more you fine tune it, it actually the prettier it looks. It's kind of interesting that way. I can almost guarantee you, if there's a problem, it's always going to have something to do with a curve that's